Hi, everyone.
Hey.
So today we're going to be talking about learning through food, and we're going to discuss some different rice dishes in Spain and Japan. Okay. My name is Lucy. My focus country with Carolina Navigators is Spain. I'm originally from Portsmouth in the UK in England, but I've lived most of my life in Raleigh. I'm a junior at UNC and I'm studying economics, math, and Spanish, and I've spent 5 months studying abroad in Spain last year.
Hey everyone, my name is Tatiana. I'm also a junior here at UNC. I double major in global studies and psychology, and I minor in Japanese. I'm from Wilson, North Carolina, and my focus country for Carolina Navigators is Japan. I studied abroad there last summer for about 2 months, and I stayed with the host family. The picture that you see that I posted is me picking strawberries in a strawberry greenhouse in Tochigi Prefecture.
Okay, so I studied abroad in Spain, and so I'm going to be talking about Spain, which is going to be the flag on your left. It's got the red and yellow, and then the coat of arms on it.
And I'll be talking about Japan as the flag on the right. It's pretty simple. It's just a white background with a red dot in it, but it symbolizes land of the rising sun.
Okay, to start, we're going to ask if you could type some questions into the chat. First of all, raise your hand if you've ever eaten rice. See some hands raised in the screen.
Pretty much everyone, so yeah.
And then what kind of rice dishes have you had at home or in restaurants? You can type those in.
Yeah, I'll give you a couple seconds.
Curry rice,
Ooh,
chicken fried rice,
that's a good one.
yellow rice,
I like yellow rice.
Mexican rice, dal with rice,
Ooh.
sambar rice, brown rice, shrimp fried rice.
Yes,
Lots of fried rice.
this is a lot.
Okay, great. So that's some different ones. You guys named some good ones there. So I think it's pretty obvious we all have eaten rice, and there's so many different ways you can eat it and use it in different cultures and with different countries. So that's something really interesting to talk about.
Also chicken and rice soup.
Chicken and rice soup. Okay, and now we're going to ask you to pick which of these dishes you think is from Japan and which you think is from Spain. So you can type in the chat, oh, A is from Spain or A is from Japan.
We also have just good old white rice.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like most of you got it right. A is from Japan and B is from Spain. And
Now we're gonna do another one. So again, if you think A is from Japan, put A. If you think B is from Spain, put B. A little harder.
Okay, great. Sounds like this one was a little bit harder. So it sounds like there was a bit of a mix-up on these two, and some people thought A, maybe Japan or Spain. So A is from Spain and B is from Japan. Most of you got it right.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job.
Okay, so from the first picture, that is called paella, and this is from Spain. And this is a dish that I'm going to be talking about to you guys. So paella is normally served in the middle of the day. It's a big meal, and in Spain, you eat a big meal at lunch and then smaller meals at night and in breakfast time. And you normally eat paella during celebrations or when you have big gatherings. You put it in the middle of the table in this huge pan, and everyone just grabs a spoon and puts it on their plate and enjoys it with big families or gatherings. And it's a time to celebrate and just enjoy eating the paella.
And the second dish is called onigiri. It's from Japan. Onigiri is it's like you can do it in like kind of a triangle form or like a cylinder form. It's not usually meant for a meal, but you can have it as a meal if you eat like a bunch of them. Typically, people use them for like a snack on the go. If you like have a picnic, or if you're running late for like class or something, you can eat an onigiri. And yeah, as you can see, it's predominantly just plain white rice and has like a bit of seasoning on it. And it also has some nori, which is seaweed, in like the middle.
Okay. Now we're going to do a little bit of language talk before we get into talking about the recipes. And so here's some activities too. We're going to talk about some introducing yourselves in Spanish and Japanese. So Spanish, we talk about saying, hi, my name is Lucy. So in that way, you'd say that saying, hola, me llamo Lucy. So try and pick a partner and introduce yourselves in Spanish. Okay. So it's going to be hola, me llamo. So hola is hi, me, my, and llamo is name. And then we can try this one out too. So this you would say, my favorite food is blank. And you can just say the food word in English because that's confusing. So my again is me. In this you'd say comida is food and favorita is favorite, es is. So you'd say pretty much my food favorite is. That's how you say it in Spanish. So mi comida favorita es rice. Try and say it to a partner that you just introduced yourself in.
Okay, now we're gonna try saying those exact same phrases in English and Japanese, well, in Spanish and Japanese. Okay, so upon looking at this, it looks a little intimidating, but trust me, Japanese is actually pretty easy to pronounce. We're gonna take this slow. So to say hi in Japanese, depending on the time of day, right now it's afternoon, you'd say konnichiwa. So I'm gonna pronounce that again just so you guys can hear it. Konnichiwa. And that is again how to say hi. To say my name is, you start with watashi no, again, watashi no, and that just means my. To say name in Japanese, it is namae, again, namae. And then wa is just kind of like is, but not quite. Then you would say your name in the blank space. And lastly, you'll say a word called des, which is also kind of like is. But to give you an example, my name is Tatiana. So I'd say, konnichiwa, watashi no namae wa Tatiana desu. So please get with a partner and try your best to say this phrase.
You want me to say it?
Yeah, I'd really like to do that. First, if you would like, I can say this again and you can repeat after me slowly. So, konnichiwa, watashi no namae wa, your name, and then desu. And then together again, konnichiwa, watashi no namae wa Tatiana desu. And if you'd like to practice now, that'd be great. And then next, again, we're gonna say my favorite food is blank in Japanese. So again, it's kind of a long phrase, but it's pretty easy to say. So we're gonna take it slow again. You just learned this word, so kind of a freebie. Watashi no, that again means my. Watashi no. To say favorite in Japanese, it's ichiban tsukina, and these words separate. Ichiban means like the best. So like you really like this food, you say ichiban. Tsukinan just means to like. So again, your favorite food together, ichiban tsukina. And then food in Japanese is just tabemono, tabemono. And then you attach wa and des at the end. So again, if you'd like to repeat after me, watashi no, this means my. Ichiban, this is like the best. Tsukina, which means to like. And then tabemono, which means food. And then you just attach wa and des at the end. So just an example, if, let's say my favorite food is pasta, I'd say, watashi no ichiban tsuki na tabemono wa pasta desu. So if you really like to practice with a partner, be good now. Okay. And please, teachers, help your students if they need it, because this is a lot.
Okay, so I hope you have fun introducing yourselves, and now we'll get into a little bit about the food. So we talked about paella just briefly, but this is the dish again, and paella originates in Valencia, which is a city on the east coast of Spain. You can see it on the map there with the big arrow pointing to it. It's a very pretty city, and it's yeah, that's where it originated. Some of the key ingredients to make paella. On the left, you see this flour and then these little red things on it. That is called saffron, and it is a spice used in paella. The spice actually comes from the flowers, as you can see on the picture. And how you get the red parts off of the flowers, you have to pick them by hand. So it actually makes the spice really expensive, and it helps give the paella that red/yellow tint. In the middle is this pan. It's a really big pan. It's really shallow, and you put it in the middle of the table, and that's how you serve it. In Spain, they call this pan just paella, and that's where the name of the dish comes from also. And then all the way on the right is obviously the rice. The rice is really important in this recipe. As you can see, this rice is called bomba rice. In Spain, they use this rice because it's really short and it helps absorb the water. And then other things you can use, you definitely use lots of vegetables and meats. You can use chicken, shrimp, peppers, green beans, whatever you really want to put in it. But these are like main, most important parts of paella.
Yeah, so what is onigiri? Again, onigiri originates in Japan. It actually has a pretty long history. It's comes way before the use of chopsticks in Japan, and that's because it's easy to pick up because it's all clumped together rice. Yeah, so to make onigiri, okay, yeah, you need in the left, this is like a rice cooker, but you don't really need a rice cooker. Even if you have like a pot on the stove, you can just make some rice. But the rice is very important. You need short grain rice because it's stickier than long grain rice. And typically in America, in supermarkets, you mostly see long grain rice. But for this dish, you specifically need short grain. To add flavor in it, you need a bit of salt. And to just wrap it up, people usually normally have seaweed, which is on the far right. In Japanese, it's called nori. When you're making the onigiri, typically the most common shape is like a triangle or a ball. I like the ball because it's the most easiest to do, and if you mess up, it's easy to put in the ball. And yeah, you can also add fillings. Some common fillings to do is kind of like salty or sweet things like plum or like salted fish or more seaweed. So
Okay, since we're talking about rice so much, maybe we should learn how to say them in Spanish and Japanese. So on your left, you'll see the Spanish version. And how you say that word, it's arroz. So you kind of roll the R in the middle. If you can't, that's okay. So if you can repeat it after me, we can go arroz.
And next we'd have rice in Japanese. So this is actually pretty easy to say despite the phrases that I had you guys say earlier. Rice in Japanese is just gohan. So again, gohan. So if you want to say it after me, right now, be good. Gohan.
We're going to learn how to say cook in Spanish and Japanese. And the left is in Spanish. So this is cocinar, and that means to cook. So cocinar, repeat after me. Cocinar.
And now we'll practice how to say cook in Japanese. So to cook in Japanese is rori. And a special thing about the Japanese R, they don't really have an L in Japanese. It's kind of a mix between an R and an L. So like what I like to do is I'll start by saying an R word, but kind of end with like an L sound. So it's not rori, it's rori, rori. And again, rori. So repeat after me, rori.
So here is a short video on how to make paella, and this is the traditional Valencian paella that you would see in Spain. Press the button.
And now we're just gonna see a short video on how to make onigiri. Okay, as you saw, onigiri looks pretty simple to make, so we're actually going to demonstrate how you can form one right now. As you saw in the video, the woman who was demonstrating how to make it, she just used her plain hands, but that's actually very hard, so we're going to do a little cheat sheet and use plastic wrap instead. So the main component of onigiri is rice, and in Japan, most people usually cook the rice in a rice cooker like this. So I brought mine because I like to cook rice. And as you can see inside, we just have a lot of rice in there. And this is going to be used to form the balls. Right now, you can decide what we make, either triangles or ball shapes. So right now, type in the chat, maybe A for triangle or B for a ball shape. So you can do that right now, and we'll do whichever based on how many votes they get. Just trust yourself.
Never mind.
Okay. Also, we have in the video you saw that she put things into the onigiri. I did not bring stuff specifically to put in it, but I did bring seasonings. So I guess also in the chat if I should put these seaweed flakes in it. What, A or B again, or you can just write this. So if you want me to put seaweed, please type seaweed in the chat. Or if you want me to put this curry one, put curry into the chat.
So far we have 3 votes for triangle, 2 votes for one of each, 1 for ball shape. We've got 1 vote for curry, 1 for triangle, and seaweed.
Do you want to do both?
Okay, I can do this one.
Do you want to do the ball then since it's Great. So first, we'll just open up. Well, should we wait a little bit more? Yeah. So first, we'll just open up the seasoning packet, and you'll sprinkle a little bit on the rice, or honestly, as much as you want to have flavor.
Packet.
Yeah, you keep going. Keep going. So, like as you see, hope you can see. Okay. There's seaweed on the rice, and you close it up just so no rice is slipping. Gonna like spread it out better. You can actually move it before you do this step, but it's fine for this demonstration. But yeah, you can start making your ball, and I'll try to make a triangle, but if it looks kind of bad, please be nice. In the video, you saw the lady kind of use her hands like this in a flipping motion, which if I was very advanced, it would also look perfect like hers did, but it'll look kind of like a triangle. This is also a really good dish to make with like your friends or family. This is good. Yeah. So you can take it out the wrapper and
That
show
looks
them.
good. It's a triangle.
I hope so. Oh. Important step as well, when you're done, you would wrap it with some seaweed. So I have some right here for us to wrap it with. And take it out. And just put a seaweed on it. Yeah, it's like kind of hard to use the rice to kind of soften it a bit with the moisture. So. And yeah, this is just the finishing touch because seaweed tastes really good with rice. So like, yeah, these are our little rice balls.
Okay, now that you've watched and learned a little bit about both of the recipes, you can type in the chat, what do you think is similar between them and what's different?
One said rice is similar. They both have rice.
Yes.
Yes, rice is similar in both of them.
They both have spices.
That's true.
They both do use spices.
One had more meat, like snails, chicken, and rabbits.
That's true.
Yeah, one did have meat. The Spanish one had a lot of meat in it.
Yeah, you can't really put too much meat in the little onigiri.
So the difference is what they put with the rice.
True, yeah, they're both very different ways to eat rice.
The shapes were different. The paella was the pan, and the,
Yeah,
That's true.
the other one's the triangle and the ball shape. Yeah. Paella is spread out, and it's connected in shape.
That's true. It's really compacted in here.
yeah, the paella is a little more soupy because you've got a lot of like liquids and vegetables and meats in it.
But the onigiri is more like could be like more a single serving meal. They're from different countries.
Yeah.
Similarities, they both have rice and they put meat, maybe something like fish. They both could have seafood.
Yeah, they both could have seafood. That's a good similarity. And to end it, we have a few different questions to test your knowledge that we've talked about. You can type any of these that you want to answer into the assessment. First, we'll start out with what were the names of the 2 dishes we talked about? Can you remember what they were called? Hey, good job. Sounds like most of you got it right. Spanish was paella.
And in onigiri for Japanese.
And then this one's a little tougher. How do you say rice in Japanese and Spanish? You can answer just one of them if you remembered one more than the other. Okay, great. Sounds like you guys remembered them as well. Spanish is arroz.
In Japanese, gohan.
And then just an bonus, if you can introduce yourselves in Japanese or Spanish to a partner, or maybe type in how you would say it in the chat. Or just hello, that would be good too.
Any simple phrases. And I won't take off for spelling because Japanese is hard.
One wrote, me llamo Mr. Brown. Hola, me llamo.
Okay. Do you guys remember how to say hello in Japanese? Remember it starts with the K. Konnichiwa.
Hola, me llamo Señora Bro y mis estudiantes son los Bruins. Another konnichiwa.
Okay, great job, guys. And now it's part of our Q&A section. So we'd love to answer any questions you have about Japan, Spain, or anything else you want to ask us.
Yes. Yeah. So you can ask us pretty much anything. We both study abroad in different countries, so you can ask what life was like when we were there. And so what time do specific dances they do in Japan? For specific dances, I know there's like traditional dances they do for like festivals and stuff, but I can't really pinpoint any like ones I can think of like on the top of my head.
Yeah. In Spain, maybe, you know?
Special dances?
Yeah.
Well, there's like, I guess,
Flamenco.
the flamenco. I don't really know names of any other ones specific to Spain.
Then what time do your children go to school, or maybe a little bit how school might be similar or different?
I think children go to school pretty right the same time in Spain. Something that's common with at least in work life is they'll take a gap in the middle of the day for a siesta. So then sometimes they'll go home, they'll have lunches with their families, and then go back to work. I don't know if it works like that at schools, but that's a really common thing to do in Spain.
Yeah, in Japan, it's pretty much the same time as well, like about 7:30, 8 a.m. for elementary schools. One thing that is interesting, though, is I don't know how you guys commute to school, but probably either by bus or a car. But for some Japanese children, well, a large amount of them, they actually take the train to school because they live kind of far from their schools. And they also, when it's time to leave, you guys might have a janitor that comes by and like cleans your classroom, but Japanese children actually clean their own classrooms at the end of the day.
What's your favorite food from Spain and Japan?
I like paella, but they have these little dishes called tapas in Spain. They're really little, and so you can have a lot of different ones. A lot of times they come on like little pieces of bread, and so they're always really fun to go and get them with friends, and you can get a bunch of different dishes to try.
Yeah, I like Japanese curry. It's pretty simple. What makes it different from like Indian curry is it's not very spicy. It's a little sweet, so I like the taste of it.
You know how to dance flamenco?
No, I don't know how to dance flamenco. I'd love to learn though.
You can show them something.
So I know a little bit of flamenco. If you guys want to try, one thing special about flamenco is kind of the hand movements. So if you guys can try to move your hands like this, it's kind of like flamenco. So they might like go out like this, right? Or out to the side and clap. So that's a little bit of flamenco. Sometimes they also do a step like this, right? And sometimes flamenco has a lot of stomping, a little bit like tap dance. So those are a few of what it kind of looks like. And the women wear long, pretty dresses, and the men usually wear like black suits.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a little exercise in today.
What kind of foods from the United States are available in Japan and Spain? Any typical American things like peanut butter, mac and cheese, fast food?
Yeah, there's pizzas. People in Spain still eat pizza. There's lots of different like fast foods like that. I think they have McDonald's in Spain. Yeah, they definitely do. What others? Lots of burgers.
Yeah, Japan also has like McDonald's and Burger King, but when you go in them, the menu is always different. Like in Japan, you can get like a shrimp burger and like matcha lattes or like cherry blossom lattes depending on the season. So like that's something to look out for.
Yeah. When I got a pizza once, they had corn on it, and I thought that was
Me too.
really weird. I've never seen that in the U.S.
Do they celebrate any holidays that we don't celebrate in the U.S. or any holidays you guys enjoy celebrating?
They celebrated it's not I think specific to Spain, but a carnival as well. They celebrated kind of it's the same kind of thing as Mardi Gras around the same time of year, but everyone gets dressed up and there's parades in the streets and things like that.
I'm trying to think. I think while I was there, they celebrated Children's Day, and that's just basically children can go get out for free from school on that day.
And there's a specific holiday to an area called Pamplona in Spain. It's called Running of the Bulls. You might have heard of it before. Everyone gets dressed up in white and have like a red tie on, and they'll like release bulls down the street. I don't really remember what it's to celebrate, but people will run on the streets and they have to run really fast to get away from the bulls. It's called Running of the Bulls. Yeah, it's dangerous. Most people don't participate.
And what was your favorite part of your visit? Was there anything that was difficult, or what did you like, and what was maybe kind of hard?
My favorite part was definitely staying with my host family, but it also made it difficult because they didn't speak any English, so I had to rely on my Japanese skills, they're not that good. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed just coming home every day from school and having like a family dinner with them, especially since it was something new every night.
Yeah, I stayed with some students the same age as me in Spain, and they were all from Spain. So it was really cool to kind of learn from them and speak Spanish with them and hang out with them on the weekends. That was my favorite part, just like living with them.
What are some of the common hobbies or activities they might do in the countries? It could be sports or games or things with friends.
One common thing that students in Japan like to do after school is go to karaoke. It's pretty cheap there. You can rent out like a whole room for about maybe $8 to $10 an hour. So yeah, a lot of them just like to go in groups and sing together.
A lot of people played soccer where I lived, and they called it football. And also I lived on the coast, and so a lot of people did surfing, which was really cool. A lot of the same sports that we play here, they play in Spain.
Is the clothing similar or different? Like modern clothing, traditional clothing? And they also asked about school uniforms.
The clothing is pretty similar in terms of like when I went to like the shopping malls. They had like, I don't know, more bell bottoms than I liked, but I don't know if you guys are old enough to know what bell bottoms are, but we're coming back.
Yeah, there's like the traditional European style, which is like I always feel like they wear a lot of black and like a lot of like just like more fashionable clothing there. But like the same sort of things you'd wear here. School uniforms, I think a lot of schools did have uniforms in Spain.
Yeah, in Japan, they definitely, if you go to a school, you're probably going to have to wear a school uniform for like elementary through high school.
Do you guys plan to go back to Japan or Spain after you graduate?
I'm actually going back to Japan this fall to study abroad for a whole semester. So.
I'd love to go back. I don't have any like specific plans, but yeah, I think I definitely will go back after I graduate. Probably not live, but visit definitely.
What happens if you don't get away from the bulls?
Not sure. Injured. Most people run to the side and kind of hide. That's the best way, probably.
What are some of the common forms of transportation?
A lot of buses and trains in Spain. Public transportation is really big, so they'll have buses that kind of route all the way through the side, like countrysides, and then the trains are really fast and they go from kind of the south all the way up to the top of Spain.
Yeah, same thing in Japan. Trains are very common, buses, not really so much cars because the streets are so narrow and there's like so many people in the dense cities. But yeah, pretty much everyone also just walks everywhere because things are pretty close together in terms of like where they're centered, but just getting there probably like taking a train.
They're asking about sports. Do they have lacrosse, American football, or basketball?
I don't think they play American football in Spain, not commonly at least. They might play basketball, not sure about lacrosse. I don't think so.
Yeah, I know rugby is very popular in Japan. They also play American football, it's just soccer in general. Yeah, they pretty much play all the sports too.
I asked if they play baseball in Japan.
Oh, they love baseball in Japan. I left that out. Baseball is very popular.
And did you live in larger cities? And did you get to go visit more rural areas if you're in the city? Kind of miss it if you're in the bigger cities and the rural areas if you're able to do that.
Yeah, I lived in a city. It's a pretty big city. It's called Bilbao. You've probably not heard of it, but it is in the northern side of Spain. Yeah, so I would walk to my classes every day, and I'd be able to walk pretty much everywhere I wanted. If we went to more of the rural places, you'd have to take a bus there and then try and find the bus back to the city, so that's a little bit harder. But yeah, and I visited a few of the bigger cities like Madrid and Barcelona, which you probably have heard of.
Yeah. For me, I lived in Chiba, which is like a prefecture below Tokyo. It's not like big city, but it's not rural either. But for me, when I had to go to school, I had to take about 2 trains and walk maybe about 15 to 20 minutes. It was pretty far. Like the whole trip maybe took about 45 minutes. And if I wanted to go into a big city place like Tokyo, it'd probably take about an hour to an hour 30 minutes by train.
They asked how big the cars are in square feet, but maybe you can say how big the cars are in comparison to cars in the US.
Yeah, the cars are definitely smaller. So if your parents maybe drive like a minivan or something like that, or car with 4 seats or more, it's definitely smaller in Spain. Like the actual size of the car is smaller, that holds the same amount of people. And also a lot of cars probably are like 2 or 4 max people can fit in the car.
Yeah, the cars are also very small in Japan. They're pretty like boxy to like fit well on the streets. You wouldn't really see like a really big Jeep. That's probably unheard of because like it's really hard to back up and everything. And some streets there's like one way, so if someone's coming this way and you're coming this way, you guys kind of like have to meet. It's really difficult.
Did you guys get to go to concerts or zoos while you were there, or music events? What kind of activities or events did you?
I went to a kabuki show, which you guys probably don't really know what it is, but it's kind of like, I don't know, an opera kind of, but not really. They have like these very elaborate costumes and like these really cool like masks and everything. Like you don't really know who's underneath the costume and everything, but then they just perform and there's like really cool sound effects, and that was like really fun, but very different too.
I think I went to a few like I went to one opera as well, and then I went to like more of a concert type thing, but it was a little smaller. I didn't get to, what was the other thing they were asking?
They said
zoo. No, I didn't get to go to a zoo, but yeah, I went to a few concerts and they were pretty cool. They were Spanish music, so I didn't know much of it, but it was cool to learn.
And are memes prominent in Japan or Spain?
There's a couple of Japanese memes that I can like think of. I don't know if they're like as prominent in America as it is in America, but there are some.
Yeah, I've seen a few Spanish memes, but yeah.
And what was your opinion? You said you went to Tokyo.
I lived in Chiba, but I would visit Tokyo a lot.
So I said, what was your opinion of Tokyo? Did you like it? Were you overwhelmed?
Oh yeah, definitely overwhelmed. It's a really big place, and there's just something everywhere. It's like, I feel like it like never sleeps. There's always like something you can do in Tokyo. One bad thing about it though, the train system in Japan, it's not like 24 hours. You would think it would be, but it ends around like midnight. So if you don't catch the last train, you can't really go home unless you get like a really expensive taxi, or you have to wait about 5 hours until the train system starts back up. And unlucky for me, I actually did miss the last train and I had to take a taxi.
It's 2:50, so if you have to head out, you can, and this will be asking questions.
I think I just need to head out.
You can tell them you have to.
Yeah. So guys, I have another presentation after this, so I have to leave early, but it was really fun being here and having you guys like ask questions and everything, and I hope you learned some things. I hope you want to eat some onigiri in the future. So bye.
So Christine, what's the most popular religion in Spain?
I think Christianity is the most popular one.
And what kind of currency do they use? Money?
They use the euro. To think about that for a second. Yeah, the euro, it's the one that pretty much every country in Europe or in the European Union uses.
Do they have the steering wheel on the same side or the other?
I think so, yeah. It's the same side as what we have here. Any more questions you have? Let's see, how far is Spain from Japan? They're pretty far away, I would say. They're two different continents, kind of almost, I'd say, on the opposite sides of the world. So Spain's in Europe, Japan is in Asia. I don't have a map to show you, but
So I think we've gotten to answer most of your questions. So thank you everyone for joining us, for all your answers to our questions and all of your great questions. You guys did a great job remembering about the food and the language. And those of you that came to multiple sessions today, thank you for joining us for our virtual festival. We will be posting all these videos online in case you missed any and you want to watch them later. We'll post them on our YouTube channel, which you can find under Carolina Navigators. And we're going to blur out all the student faces before we post them online, so you don't have to worry about that. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and thank you again for joining us.
thank you.
Bye.